This has been a video that I've been procrastinating for a while, and you're going to see why. In philosophy class in formal logic, there was a very interesting argument for the existence of God. This argument is logical. It's logically valid. It's important to point out, though, that just because an argument is logically valid doesn't mean it's a good argument. Doesn't mean it's true. For instance, all cats are black. All black things are cats. That chair over there is black, therefore that chair is a cat. If you have a cat, then it's black. So Fuzzy, which is a cat, must be a black cat. You know, that's a logical argument, but it's totally not true, because it's not the case that all things which are black are cats, and it's not the case that all cats are black. So just because it's logical doesn't mean it's true, because there could be some of these 7 lines, one of them could be wrong. This is what formal logic looks like. It's kind of like computer programming, which, given how geeky most of my audience is, you've probably seen programming before, so it's similar line of thinking. It just cool thing is you don't have to put semicolons at the end of every single line like you tend to have to do in programming. Anyway, yeah. I don't want to get into this, though, because it'll bore you to tears, and I'm not a logic teacher, so if you want to play this video on hardcore, Google logic concepts, type this out, and try to figure out what this all means on your own. To get you started, the little V symbol means or, these little horseshoes mean if-then, and the tildes mean not, and the parentheses group crap together. And that means, in conclusion, this whole argument should lead to N, which is the necessary being. So yeah, the idea of this argument is the entire argument is really a disjunction elimination. That means that you're giving 2 premises. It's pretty much either this is the case, or that's the case, or they're both the case. But both of them lead to the exact same conclusion, that there's a necessary being. Therefore, since one of them has to be true, and they both lead to a necessary being has to exist. So I'm going to read the argument now, and I'm going to read it in a kind of a mixture of William Shatner and Sagan, because overreacting it and saying it in a calm voice, I think will make it a little easier to follow. Now, the argument's like this. There have been contingent beings for either a finite or an infinite period of time. If the former, then, provided that no contingent beings have created themselves, there must be a necessary being which has created some contingent beings. No contingent beings have created themselves. On the other hand, if there have been contingent beings for a infinite period of time, then all the possible combinations of the existence and non-existence of contingent beings have been realized. If all the possible combinations have been realized, then there was a time in the past when no contingent being existed. If there was such a time in the past, and if no contingent beings have created themselves, then there are contingent beings today only if there is a necessary being who has created some contingent beings. Of course, there are contingent beings today. Therefore, there is a necessary being who has created some contingent beings. Fascinating. Now, what is a contingent being? A contingent being is it's something which was created. Like, a necessary being would not be contingent. And it's contingent beings also are things like they take up space, like they're normal type stuff. Normal type stuff are contingent beings. So yeah, it is possible for a contingent being to exist for an infinite period of time, so they're not all created, but they're limited. Contingent beings are limited in scope. But a monotheistic Christian God is not limited in scope. It's everywhere, all-powerful. It created everything. It's omni. It's omni, all. So yes, this seems to be a very updated and complicated version of the cosmological argument. The cosmological argument is basically the idea that everything has a cause, right? So me sleeping enough caused me to wake up. If you go back in the causal chain far back enough, either the causal chain is infinite and you just go backwards forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, or there had to be a thing at the very beginning which started the causal chain. That thing was a god or a deity, a necessary being which started the causal chain of all of existence. You know, kind of like a Big Bang type scenario. So in a way, that makes me wonder too, could not the Big Bang just be the stand-in for the prime mover, the first cause? Because it did kind of cause everything in existence to be the case. Now, I don't think this argument specifically is just a rehashing of the cosmological argument, mainly because this seems to be it's similar to the cosmological argument, but it's instead of basing it on this massive causal chain, and when I say causal chain, I'm talking about something like this caused this to happen, which caused this to happen, which caused another thing to happen, which caused another thing to happen, on and on and on. That's a causal chain. Like a Rube Goldberg machine is a comedic version of a causal chain. And I think I'm going to try to post a Rube Goldberg machine in the description because they're hilarious. And I'll do anything hilarious to make a point. Yeah, just to give you a little bit more look at that if you want to try to solve it yourself. And I'm very surprised that my retention of logic was so good because when I first found this piece of paper, it only had 1 through 7. Just now I filled in the rest of it, which did the logical proof. But yes, this more is into the idea of beings. Since things don't create themselves, like this piece of paper doesn't poof into existence. Normal stuff, i.e. contingent beings, they both exist, of course, because we're here talking, and they don't just poof. There's no poofing going on. And when I say poofing, they don't just come into existence. So there had to be a thing which is not poofed, an unpoofed thing. And this the necessary being, was never poofed into existence. It's necessary. It does the poofing. Kind of like Heisenberg. I am the one who knocks. I am the danger. Walter White from Breaking Bad. If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, Heisenberg is that character. He's the guy, the big drug dealer. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, there had to be a non-poofer that poofs everything. Because if there wasn't a non-poofed thing, a non-created thing, then it'd be difficult to explain how we have contingent beings everywhere. But yeah. Also, another problem with this kind of argument too is that it doesn't argue for any specific religion. This is not an argument for Christianity right here. The farthest you can go with this argument is something like deism. Deism is sort of the idea that there was a thing at the very beginning of the universe which started the universe, which had agency and could choose to start the universe, but that's all it did. It started the universe and then disappeared. That's as far as you can go with this argument, that there had to be that deistic necessary being which started everything, but that's it. You cannot get Christianity out of this. You cannot get the Bible out of this. You cannot get Yahweh out of this. You can only get the idea of a being at the very beginning who got the ball rolling and then took a nap, a long nap. I'm speaking figuratively here, as I often do. Yeah. But what I think personally of the argument is, while it is very, very intriguing, it seems very, very difficult to actually say anything about the necessary being. Besides, how do we know that the necessary being is even a being? It seems like N could be replaced with just big question mark. there had to be a big question mark that explains all this stuff. But we don't know anything about the big question mark, because by the very fact that this n, or question mark in my opinion, is not a contingent mean, not a normal thing, not a something which is extended in space. And when I say extended in space, I mean like it doesn't go on and on forever. Like this paper is extended from here to here, and from like here to here. That's extension. And so the extension the other direction is really, really thin. So that's what I mean by extension, is that like it takes up space, but it's a limited amount of space, like a normal thing. But if you can't even imagine a thing which is not extended. You can't even imagine a God. A God which does not end here and here, but goes all directions forever and ever and ever infinitely. Like, because we can't even imagine the concept of n, of a deity. It seems even more plausible to simply replace it with either just question mark or some other weird symbol that I don't even know if you can make a symbol for it, because since we can't even connect to the idea of God, the symbol would seem strange. We can only understand the symbol. But anyway, I don't want to get into a weird language tangent. I'll just leave you with this and ask you all to try to figure out this argument more yourself. And if you want to go hardcore, try to teach yourself logic and try to figure out what the hell this is all about here. I know this stuff pretty well, so if you want to go hardcore and try to figure out what this means yourself, I can answer some questions. I only took intro logic and formal logic and tutored a bit, so I'm in no way an expert in logic. I'm like an amateur, so I can do my best, but take what I say with a grain of salt. Well, that is all. And if you've lasted to this part of the video, then you should win philosophy cookies. You win philosophy points. In fact, you should consider yourself a philosopher. If you made it to this part of the video, damn it, man or woman or non-gender binary person or the alternative gender that I haven't thought of yet, you are a philosopher. Congratulations.